Happy Monday, guys. Welcome to PuckTime, WagerTalk TV. We have picks, sides, totals, props for you here for the busy Monday slate. It's February 2nd. Where does the time go? We are just a handful of days away from the Olympic breaks. Let's try and find you some winners before the pause in NHL play. Carm, it feels a bit weird here, man. Obviously, you and I are both pumped up to watch the Olympics, but it's going to be a little bit weird here for 2 weeks. No NHL.
Yeah. 4 days left, Andrew. They smashed a whole bunch of games in together. So that is great. Then the Olympics start. Right after this show, I'm going to pick up my Team Canada, the black jersey. I ordered it. It's waiting for me at Vaughan Mills. I'm going to go and grab that. I had to add a few X's to it. The winter was not kind. The winter was not kind to me. The XL became double and triple XL. But with that said, man, that Winter Classic, man, or Stadium Series, not Winter Classic, Stadium Series. Bobrovsky and Swayman throwing them down, man.
Goalie fight.
Yeah, goalie. Who doesn't love a good goalie fight? First ever goalie fight that was outside in a stadium, and Vasilevsky won that fight. Swayman didn't get any punches in. Vasilevsky caught him on the chin once and whatever. It wasn't a classic fight, but it was good nonetheless. And post game, when Andrew, when they shook hands, the teams shook hands. They had a good laugh. I saw the video of the two of them, and they're just chatting, and they're like, I think we gave them some entertainment. So that was more entertainment than anything else. But, man, that was fantastic. We have an action-packed card for you guys today. Andrew and I are going to talk about Ottawa and Pittsburgh. Brian Leonard is back. He is back in Vegas, and he arrived in Vegas from the deep cold and goes 7-0 on his first day back in Vegas. Brian, we are putting one of those ankle bracelets on you, and you cannot leave Vegas because you're on fire. So we are going to keep you there. Brian's going to do the New York Islanders and Washington Capitals. We're going to keep him around for the Winnipeg and Dallas game, and then Andrew and I will close it off with a rematch of the Colorado and Detroit weekend game. I believe they played on Saturday. Same game parlay from Andrew, along with some props, and I have a pod play. The pod play on Friday one, and if you're around and you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I put out a pod on Sunday as well too, on the first period over in that Stadium Series, and that one won as well too. So that's why you should always follow on social media. But with that said,
great call, Andrew, by you on that, Carm. Great call. A lot of goals in that first period. It was really, really fun to watch.
A lot of goals in general, Andrew. That game, I thought the game would slow down. Because like all indication and listening to, I saw like how they had tented the arena and they're pumping cold in it. And I'm just thinking it's still, once they remove that tent the night before and they keep that ice in the second and third periods is where if you overfreeze the ice, and I know that sounds weird, but if you overfreeze the ice, it's actually harder for the players. And the NHL had people there checking and monitoring the ice because it actually can hurt them. It's got to be kept at a certain temperature. And then I thought, if it becomes one of those ones where there's a lot of snow and it frosts over, do we see any scoring or a lot of scoring in the second and third periods? Well, I was wrong there. We saw a lot of them, but it didn't matter to me, man. We got goals in the first period.
Yeah. And a lot of penalties, though. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's funny.
If you're a Bruins fan, 7 straight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Hockey players, they try to pick and choose their spots when they're going to complain about a call. But David Pasternak, I think Charlie McAvoy, both of them said, I'm not really sure what happened there. Because let's be honest, Carm, a lot of times when comebacks happen, it's because of a power play or two. You got to get a couple power play goals. But, hey, they took full advantage of it. And I got to say this. Jeremy Swayman was asking for it. I understand Hagel was poking at him, but Swayman starts pounding him with the blocker. And I was so pumped up. I was watching the Raptors game back and forth with the hockey game. I turn it back on. I see Vasilevsky meeting him at center ice. So it was a pretty good weekend overall for me. I actually stayed away from NHL yesterday. I had one college basketball play, Ended up being like a 30-point blowout, so that was awesome. I did lose my big play Saturday night, but we had a handful of free plays and a handful of plays overall on Saturday, and we're still on a pretty good run right now in the NHL. So January, we went 3-1 with the or 4-1 with the 5% NHL plays. So we'll try and keep that going. And shout out to Steve here, who says he was at the Penn State and Michigan State outdoor game. 74,000 people at that one. NCAA hockey is growing in a big way right now, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, Celebrini, man. Not Celebrini, McKenna, with some selfies and stuff.
Yeah.
So the hockey selfies and stuff. But I always talk about the bad days. It wasn't a bad day yesterday. It was a 4-0 day for me across soccer and hockey. But
awesome.
Like the previous Sunday, I had a bad Sunday. And I always say, don't judge a person by one day. What happened since that Sunday? I said I would get it back. 19-8 plus 34.45 units the last 7 days, from Monday to this past Sunday, which is number one at WagerTalk over that period. So, but it's still only 7 days. We're going to keep it rolling right into the Olympic break and then the post-Olympic break. But with that said, Andrew, we got to get going here. We're 6.5 minutes in. Ottawa Senators, Pittsburgh Penguins, -114 on Pittsburgh, -107 on Ottawa. Total sits here at 6.5. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, the number seems a bit weird to me here, Carm. It does. Like, just looking at the number overall, I understand it's it's a Senators team that potentially is better than what their numbers dictate, offensively, some of the way that they've been playing. But at the end of the day, this number is a little bit fishy. I'm curious if you would describe this the same way, but the number, based on what we've seen from the Pittsburgh Penguins as of late, you would think this would be a little bit less of a pick'em stage here, with how well they're playing compared to the Ottawa Senators. So immediately that was kind of a flag to me. But I'll tell you, I understand that more and more, if it's like average goaltending, you don't look at it as much. But then lately, I've been looking at last 180 minutes, last handful of games for these goaltenders. And it was a great story seeing Linus Ullmark come back on Saturday, play well for the Ottawa Senators. They get the win 4-1. That was one of my free plays, Senators team total to get to 4. But I mean, James Reimer's expected here since he's returned back to play, .873 save percentage. He's 2-2-1, 305 goals against average. The crazy thing is, Carm, is that his numbers aren't very good, and his numbers are still better than what Merilainen was doing and really what Ullmark was doing earlier in the season. But just looking at some of my numbers, the high danger chances for this Pittsburgh Penguins team, I think it's too much for Ottawa to handle. I think the suppression is going to be too tough for them to create chances. And honestly, if you put enough shots on goal in the Ottawa Senators, you're going to put goals up on the board. So 6.5 is the total. If you could tell me 1 to 4 wins this game, I think it's Pittsburgh. So the number seems a little bit weird for me, and that's probably why it won't end up being a client play for me. I do have some player props in this game for the player props segment coming up in a little while, but I lean towards the Pittsburgh Penguins side. This team is playing a lot better than people are probably giving them credit for. We'll see if they can maintain that post-Olympic break. Because I'll tell you what, Ottawa is a team that I want to be betting on in the Olympic break. I think they're a team that's going to miss the playoffs, but we're going to have opportunities to make money on them. They're one of those teams, Carm, and I'll bring you in with this before I go to you. I think they're one of those teams where I don't like to blame goaltenders very much for just outright losses, but they're one of the few teams that you really can blame their goaltending for how a lot of their season has gone.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can. It's one of those ones where teams have to play better. The players have to play better, and then they start to turn it around at some point, and you wonder, is it a little too late? That you look at the Ottawa Senators, they fall into that. Excuse me. We're going to talk about the Winnipeg Jets and Dallas a little later on, and talk about teams that might have left it late. Listen, the Pens are playing good. It's like they found the fountain of youth, Andrew. Shelovs is supposed to be starting in this game. I think he's actually confirmed. And if you look at his numbers over the last, five starts, he's allowed 2 goals, a goal, 3 goals, 2 goals and 2 goals. His last 5 games. Save percentage going up, the goals against average going down. The odd thing is, through those 5 games, though, they are 2-3. It's just because of the teams that they played and the fact that they couldn't score goals against those teams. Ottawa's playing better. I have to think Ottawa's going to make a second half push. Whether they're good enough for it, they've won 3 in a row. I don't know. At the end of the day, when this one shakes out, I'm not sure if these teams both make the playoffs or not. Obviously, the Pens are in great shape right now, but a couple issues for them, Andrew, coming into this game. Number one, Rust is suspended. We know that. But Letang, I think it's a broken foot for Letang, and he's out as well, too. The one thing, and this is not one of those, let's make fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but one of the biggest things was with Kyle Dubas when he was let go from the Leafs and he became the GM at Pittsburgh. They said, this guy can't put together a defensive team. Andrew, look at the lines. I think this is a good pack of defensemen for the Penguins. You got Witherspoon and Carlson. You have Kulak and Letang, who's now injured, of course. You have Soloview and Shea. That's a pretty good. Those are pretty good combos, and it seems to be working because they're playing some better D, and they're scoring some goals. With that said, it does seem like a fishy line. The sort of the next man up mentality, I think, applies in this one. I still like Pittsburgh in this game. I think Ottawa gives them a hard time in this one, but you and I are going to go mano a mano. You're looking for goals. I'm looking for better defensive play from both teams, and this one's staying under the total. And that's hard to say considering I had the Penguins on the weekend in regulation against the New York Rangers, and somehow the Rangers woke up in the third period and made it 6-5. I'm like, what is going on here?
Crazy game. Yeah, that was crazy.
Let this game end already. And thankfully it ended. But
I know,
with that,
Chuck says here, Carm, about different websites projecting Allmark versus Reimer. Look, if I will say, like, my handicap does change based on if it is Reimer, and I know that it's a lot about the numbers and statistics, but I'm not going to lie. A big part of the reason why I liked Allmark on Saturday was because of the story. The players were going to get up for him. Like, he was going to be dialed in. It was his first game back after his time away, right, from the game. So you have to think that maybe he could go on a roll himself. So if it does end up being Allmark, I think that bodes very well for your under as well. I do think they're going to try and play some better defensive hockey. We'll see. Well, the biggest thing I'm curious about is, like, can Pittsburgh keep getting this depth scoring? Like, earlier in the year when they were having success, it was because Crosby was on an unbelievable pace and all these star players. But now they're getting scoring from all over the ice, which I found super impressive. So it's good to see. And we got a question here talking about.
I have a question for you as well, too, before we put up the strategies. I have a question for you. So this is the first of a back-to-back for Ottawa. So obviously they play Pittsburgh tonight. They're in Carolina tomorrow. You have Reimer. You have Allmark. If Allmark is your number one, does he give you a better chance of winning tonight, or does he give you a better chance of winning tomorrow? What would you do?
A lot of times lately, goalies have been doing, coaches have been doing that. They've been putting the better goalie the second night when they're tired. So yeah, we'll have to find out. Carm, I was just going to say, I think we'll probably save this question for when we come back for the most part. But one thing I'll say, and then I'll give you a chance before we got to bring Brian in here before he gets too tired of waiting for us. One thing I will say is that you got to really be careful of the teams that don't have that many Olympians, because last year we really, really saw it. And Carmine pointed it out with Washington. There's going to be some teams that have players that were snubbed. And as I keep on saying it, as a Canadians fan, Mr. Saturday Night, Cole Caulfield getting snubbed. I'm happy to see it. He's not there. He's going to get rested. Jason Robertson. And you look at the teams with a lot of Russian players, they're not going to the Olympics. So those guys are going to be rested. So, I would say that's where you kind of can start, Carm, by looking at which teams are going to have the most rest.
Yeah, it's true, Andrew. Listen, there's just a wealth of talent in Canada, and it happens in the US as well too, that you can't bring everybody. You know what I mean? It's not like the NFL where you can have, a 40-man roster. You can have 23 or 25 guys. You can have a couple guys who make the trip over in the event of injuries in their emergency call-ups and stuff. But we shall see. I'm looking forward to the Olympics. Maybe some of those guys who don't make it and miss out on, let's say, a gold medal, whether it's Canada, US, or let's say Sweden, and they didn't make the team, they're going to have that chip on their shoulders in the second half of the season. I don't think it gets them down. I think it maybe fuels them sort of moving forward. But we got to bring in Brian. Like I said, he was 7-0 on Sunday. Andrew, he's already won 2 games while listening to us talk for 12 minutes. So
what are you betting on right now?
On a 9-0. He's on a 9-0 run right now. Brian, welcome back, man. We missed you. You are doing quadruple duty this week. You're on every day of the week. And then if you want, like on Friday, we have no show, but we can just have you on and you just kind of stare at the camera for about 20 minutes.
Just like the last 20 I just did, right?
Exactly. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing great. And you were talking about with the Olympics and all. It kind of reminds me of the Major League Baseball All-Star game, where you got look at Toronto last year. They had such a good team. A lot of players go to the All-Star game, and it's a big deal and a whole bit. Yeah, I do a lot of that around the All-Star game, where you find teams, your lousy teams that nobody's going to the All-Star game. Those are the kind of teams I'm looking to play around that. So, yeah, great points on that regarding the Olympics.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And again, there's going to be money to be made post-Olympic break because, we're going to be excited for the Olympics, whatever happens, how the games go, who wins. But the players are going to have to get right back into it. So we'll find out if the younger teams do better, or the older teams do better, or all that good stuff. So look forward to it. But Brian, we got a game to dive in on, and you're going to stick around with us for the most part. We'll go into your game. You're going to talk Islanders and Capitals. Before you do that, if you can, maybe just give us a strategy of if you're changing how you look at anything going into the break, or if everything stays the same for you so far.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at it. As you were just talking about the goalies, the way they play the goalies, first or second game or whatever, against a better team, lesser team, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things around the breaks of these sports in which you could take advantage on. So that's something I'm looking at. In fact, since I was waiting for the spot here to open up, I noticed that the Islanders have decided to go with the backup goalie on today's card because they were taking money. Washington was taking money. And so they're going to go with their better goalie in tomorrow's game. But the Islanders are in the middle of a 5 games and 7-day stretch, and they host the Penguins tomorrow. They currently sit in the final playoff spot in the East with a 4-point lead over the Blue Jackets. And these Capitals, and neither of these two squads have had much success on the power play this year, both sitting just over 16% on the season, which I think is one of the reasons why Washington has been so struggling lately. Actually, on the whole season, Washington on the power play normally is very good. We all know about their great scores on that team, and so that's something to keep in mind. That's been really the problem for Washington all year long. If you take a look at the schedule and the series between the two, the Islanders have not lost in regulation to Washington since the 2022-23 season. They've been very good on the road, especially against divisional opponents this year. And, Washington, as I mentioned, they're one of the strictest teams in the league this season, currently on a 9-17 overall run, but they are off a couple of nice wins. They beat Detroit the other day in overtime, and then they got that huge comeback victory over the Hurricanes last time out. So maybe they're starting one of those streaks. We'll have to see. But Washington's been dealing with goalie injuries of late. They've had to call up Clay Stevenson. The visitor in the series has won each of the previous 3 meetings this season. I think that's going to continue here. Even though we've got a lesser goalie in goal for the Islanders, I just don't trust Washington as of late. They have not played well. It's been a long time since they played well. And an interesting thing to look at, until the goalie situation came out, you would think money would be coming in on Washington because they're 4 points behind the Islanders for the playoff spot. They're playing at home. They're playing 3 of their next 4 games against other teams that are fighting for those playoff spots. So this is a time where you would think money would come in on Washington, and yet their money came in all day long for the Islanders before that goalie announcement. So that was kind of strange for me. So I kind of like the Islanders here, and now we're getting more value with the underdog here. So I like the Islanders is my play of the day on the show today.
Yeah, Brian, interesting on the on the goalie stuff. So last night I put out a free play that's on the WagerTalk site in this game, and I took the under 6.5 in this game. But I fully expected, and both the goalies are different. I thought Sorokin would start for the Islanders, but more importantly, was it Clay Stevenson would start because Logan Thompson's injured. But he's I'm looking at the clear images. He's sporting his Team Canada equipment, and he's on the ice this morning for Washington in goal, which means that he will get the start. And some of the sites are starting to update it that he's the expected goalie for tonight. That total dropped overnight from 6.5 to 6, and now it's back up to 6.5. Still shaded to the under. I still like the under because I think the Caps have put in some pretty good defensive efforts of late. They're playing a little bit better, and it's like you said, they need to make up that those points that they are behind the New York Islanders. Big save, Dave. Andrew knows I'm a huge fan of Big Save Dave Riddick. So in goal for the Islanders, we'll see. The Islanders haven't been scoring a ton of late, so this is one of those ones where I believe overall the New York Islanders have the worst record for over-unders on the road this season. So keep that little tidbit for you guys out there as well too. So no, not red light Riddick. We want Big Save Dave tonight in a low-scoring game. I'll take Washington 3-2, or how about 2-2, and then whoever Brian likes wins it in overtime. Are you good with that, Brian?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've talked about this in the past. Usually when you've got a backup goaltender in there, everybody makes that big adjustment. They go, oh, he's not as good. But the teams know that too. So the teams tend to play better defense when they've got the lesser goaltender in there. So a lot of times you get the advantage in that game. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you on this one.
Yeah, and you look at it, and Andrew, in that game that Clay started on the weekend against Carolina, he allowed like 3 goals in the first 24 or 25 minutes of the game, and then he shut out Carolina the rest of the way. And Washington came all the way back and won that game 4-3. So who would you rather have in net, Andrew, tonight?
Yeah, there's been a lot of goalies that have just come up lately, and we don't know much about them, and they end up having a good run. So it's almost like you don't want to just automatically say, okay, this is a goalie we've never heard of before, we're going to fade them. It's almost like you want to just watch and see how they are and then go from there. But to your guys' point, like, the number is baked in with the backup goalie, but also it's kind of similar, Brian, what you just said. For me, I've looked at more unders on back-to-backs lately. And I used to think, the easy mindset is take overs back-to-back because they're tired, right? Well, the number's baked into it. Maybe the team plays more defensive and they change their formations. And same thing with the backup goalie. They know the backup's in there, so they might change a little bit as well. So, but I'm looking forward to following the movement throughout the day in this game. I feel like I have my odds logic page up. I feel like it'll be interesting to watch the way that one works. But last thing I'll say here, Dave Rittich, for me, it kind of reminds me of Jonathan Quick with the New York Rangers. I know I've said this a lot on PuckTime, but ever since Shesterkin got hurt, he hasn't looked nearly as good anymore. And it's because some of these goalies that are older, they're better when they only play every so often. So Big Save Dave is good because he plays like once every 2 weeks, So like, and if you throw him in a position where he becomes the full-time guy, then maybe he wouldn't be that good anymore, So I always find that kind of interesting. Comment from the solution says that why are there 2 streams? One of them is YouTube Shorts, and one of them is the regular YouTube. That's all.
Yeah, always look for the regular one. You get to see all 3 of us up close and personal. But Andrew, with that said, before we lead into the next game, you look at Riddick's January numbers: 2-3-1 with the 331 goals against average and an 838 save percentage. And the Caps are scoring 3.18 goals per game. So I don't know. I still like the under in this one, but I liked it better when it was when I released it at 6.5, and I saw that the under was bet down to 6. Now it's back up. I think that has more to do with the Islanders' change of goalies than it does with the Washington Capitals change of goalies. We're going to mix things up. We're going to keep Brian here, and him and Andrew are going to break down the Winnipeg at Dallas game, and I will have a play on that game, but you'll have to wait till the end of the show because it's going to be the pod play. With that said, Andrew, you want to take the lead on this?
It's a mystery. I like that.
Kick me out.
A little bit of a tease there from Carm. We got to wait till later to get that breezy cold play of the day from him here. This Winnipeg team, Brian, just conceptually overall with this Winnipeg team last year, they got off to such a red hot start with their season. They never really looked back here. I think the biggest thing for me, and of course, this is coming from podcasts and stuff I listen to, is that they maybe lack speed. And in the NHL these days, no matter who you are, you've got to be able to have speed in order to have success. Looking at some of the websites that I use, they just kind of talk about how, they're not able to suppress the chances that teams are creating against them because they're just not fast enough a little bit here. What do you think about the number in this one here? Dallas and Winnipeg. I mean, Dallas has had their ups and downs, but at the end of the day, they might be a team I'm more so looking to jump on.
Well, you look at the Dallas Stars, their first game back home after a successful 3-0 road trip in which every game was decided by a single goal. Normally, I'm looking to fade teams in that regard, but Dallas has struggled a little bit as of late. In fact, the last month or so has been a struggle for them. But they've been playing with more physicality as of late. The coaching staff wants them to be in more of a playoff mode, and that's what they've been doing lately. Power play has been especially good as of late, and it's the second best in the league on the season. So Dallas, that's where Dallas gets their bread and butter this season, is in that power play. And Winnipeg, they're on a 7-5 run. That comes on the end of an 11-game losing streak. So, yeah, they had that streak earlier. Goalie was out, and they were struggling mightily in that time. Now they're trying to fight their way back into the playoff contention. Currently sitting 9 points out of the playoffs. So they've got a long way to go, but they're feeling a little bit better about the way they've been playing. Dallas won the previous 2 matchups by single goals in higher expected goal scoring contests when they played Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a team that if you want to play Winnipeg, you're probably looking for the unders. And I think that's what we're going to need to get out of Winnipeg tonight. The Jets have scored just 12 times in the last 7 games overall, so the scoring continues to struggle. And the power play has been bad all season for this Winnipeg team. So they've got to play a clean game here. And if they do, I think this game is a game that we're looking to play the under in. They've lost both games, as I mentioned, and they went over in those games. Winnipeg can't afford to try to match Dallas. And Dallas on that power play is so much better than what Winnipeg is. If Dallas is coming to play, which you would expect them to come to play every game the rest of the way out because they are playing catch-up at this point. If you like Winnipeg at all in this game, you kind of like the under. And that's the way I'm looking at this game. It's a free play I put up on the site. Not one of my better plays for today, but that's the way I'm looking at this. Dallas, talent-wise, is the better team, no doubt about it. But the way they've been playing over the last couple of months, very, very streaky. So until I get a couple more wins under their belt, I don't know if I want to lay this number with them.
That's kind of how I feel as well. Like, you look at this number here, and it's tempting to take the dog because of how high and steep this number is overall. I like the under, That 5.5, it can get away from you. These 5.5s are so tough in the NHL, Brian. I'll tell you, we don't want to give attention to the haters, but I gave out an under Philadelphia and LA on Saturday afternoon. Tweeted it out, and I told people I'm going to start tweeting out a lot more picks than I used to. And it finishes 3-2. It's 5.5. I mean, a lot of unders that go under 5.5, they're going to finish 3-2, And this guy's like sending me hate tweets like, you're garbage, you're working for the books and all this. And I'm like, it's the first period. Like, it was 2-0 after the first period. And these 5.5s are tough to go under. But one thing I was going to add is I know I always, try and bring up different angles and ways to look at things. And I kind of relate the goalie save props to some of the different props you can bet on with pitchers in MLB action. If you have a really high price, you can look towards, runs allowed or hits allowed or so on and so forth. And I think that Hellebuck over on saves could be a good prop to look at. If there's even a slight part of you that thinks Winnipeg stands a chance, or if you and I, Brian, as we do, like the under in this one, I think this is going to be a good one for the save prop for him. Unfortunately, save props don't typically come out until a little bit later in the afternoon for a lot of them. But if I'm getting 25.5, 26.5, something along that line, I'm interested in looking at Hellebuck because unfortunately, they rely on him a ton. And, when he was injured and Eric Comrie was the main guy, we saw how much they slipped. So I think people have to realize that this guy is the MVP for a reason on this team. And so no matter what happens, I think he's going to have to make a ton of saves. Whether Winnipeg wins or loses, the total goes under or over, I think that he's going to have to make a ton of saves. So, and, you talk about the under, Brian, but if I told you, hey, Brian, tonight's game ended 2-1, you might think, okay, that's a pretty good scoreline to take a shot with the underdog, right?
Yeah, I agree. And for the gentleman that said you're getting paid by the books, I never received a pay. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've never received a pay. I've never met anybody that actually got a paycheck from the books unless you're actually working for the sports book. So a lot of people say that kind of stuff. They don't even. The sports books don't even know who we are. It's that's crazy talk. It's like, I used to say about the fixes. Anymore, you never know. But even if a game is fixed, if you don't know about it, you still got the same 50-50 chance of winning. So if it's fixed, great. I don't care. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Then the funny thing is, I feel like everybody should be like this, but if I asked you, hey, Brian, like, can you give me a college play tonight or your college football or whatever, and I tail it, and they lose by 30, I'm not mad at you. It's a play. I chose to gamble with you. Like, you have great seasons in all sports that you bet on. Doesn't mean that one game that I decided to ask you for is going to be a guaranteed winner. So that stuff always makes me laugh. But one guy that, you can pretty much guarantee winners lately, knock on wood, Carm has been crushing it with these play of the day. Let's bring him back in here. Carm, you've got the graphic all set and ready here. You heard that we kind of like the under. We kind of like Winnipeg. I'm looking at Hellebuck save prop. How does that correlate with what you like in this game?
Andrew, I don't even know why you're lying to like the viewing public. I've seen your bank account. You're getting like $100K deposited in there every end of the month. Every end of the month, and they give you like one game, and they tell you like this Chinese ping pong. I need you to release this guy as a bet. There is no rigging. There is no working for the books, and that when you see comments like that, they're just amateur comments from someone who hasn't been betting long enough, and they just think they have the woe is me attitude that whatever they read online has to happen. Even the best of bettors, and Brian Leonard will tell you this, the ones that make money betting with and low vig numbers, if you're hitting 54-55%, you're making money. In different sports where there's a vig attached to it, you have to obviously hit a higher winning percentage in order to overcome that vig, but nobody works for the books. With that said, I believe in a couple of weeks, after the Olympic break, the 6 and 60 will be brought to you by FanDuel, but I will discuss that a little later on. So with that said, let's go to the pod, man. And then Andrew's going to have a same game parlay for you. All right. You guys aren't going to like this, but I like this play, and I released this play last night, or I played it last night before the Winnipeg money started coming in. I am taking the Jets plus 139 in this spot, and I'm going to give you a couple of reasons for it. Jets are starting to play so much better. They went into Philadelphia. They went into Florida, win there. They went into New Jersey, won there. They lose to Tampa Bay. Everyone seems to be losing to Tampa Bay at the moment. So at the very least, they're going to split this 4-game road trip, but they have a chance to go 3-1 in this road trip, taking on a rival here in Dallas. And when these teams play, they're normally like these 1-goal games that they play. But more importantly, it looked like this Winnipeg team was dead in the water. The sound clips coming from the coach, from some of the players were terrible. Now you have Cole Perfetti coming out after the game and saying, man, we're loving playing hockey right now. The guys in the dressing room are excited. We're going to get on a roll. That's actually what you want to hear from players. They're enjoying playing hockey again. Can they go into Dallas and beat them? Absolutely. Anytime you have a goalie like Connor Hellebuck, he can go in and steal you a game. This guy's the Vezina Trophy winner. I am taking the plus 139 here. I like the Winnipeg Jets. Some money's coming in on them, of course. But, with that said, Eric Comrie started against Florida, and they played great in winning 2-1. Now they get their number one goalie in goal in Dallas tonight, looking to finish off this road trip, 3 games to 1 or 3-1 record. So with that said, the Winnipeg Jets plus 139 is your pod to play.
I like it, Carm. I mean, it's a good price. And at the end of the day here for Dallas, is they're a great team, but these days, do they deserve that price tag is the big question that we will ask. I'm going to start diving into different player props more. And I'll tell you what, one of the ones that I've been looking at a ton is the goalie save prop. So when that Hellebuck one comes out, you guys can take a look at my social media page, and we'll see if I end up tweeting that stuff out. Carm, I feel bad that Brian left. I didn't give him a proper exit. Like, we didn't get to talk to him more. He just kind of left.
We didn't even ask him what he had up.
Brian, I know.
If you're still there, if you're still around, Brian, watching this show, log back in. We got to give him a proper.
I know. I feel
you
bad.
Tossed him out you tossed him out like Jazz on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where he goes flying through the air outside of the mansion.
I just wanted to hear what your pick was on this game. That's all it was. And he said, adios. I'm leaving. So we love you, Brian. We love you. We got to get you back here. But a lot of great comments here today. So we appreciate the live chat. And hey, guys, we're going to be here all week.
I will say this: Brian's on a tremendous run. 7-0 on Sundays is phenomenal. Again, it's always one day, but he's happy to be back in Vegas after being in the deep cold of the East Coast with all that snow. Where he was pretty much, Andrew, a shut-in at where he couldn't get out because there was so much snow in that area that he was in. That he couldn't make his way out. So he was stuck at home and stuck watching the Prez on PuckTime. But Prez, if you're watching this, we love you as well, too. Andrew, same game parlay. Give us some individual winners and a same game parlay winner.
Let's do it here, Carm. Tomorrow I'm going to have a huge sheet of who's hot, who's not, and good stuff like that. But today I just have the parlay. And it's you. It's just you, Carm. Hold on. Get out of here, Carm. All right. We've got 4 picks for today, and this is an actual same game parlay because we're dealing with just one game here. We've got Pittsburgh. We've got Ottawa. And a lot of people have talked about so many players that are playing well at their age, but I don't think people are giving enough credit to Evgeny Malkin for how well he has been playing on this season, having a fantastic run. This matchup sets up very well for him. We'll take Malkin to get a point. Brady Tkachuk, 3+ shots on goal. Been a handful of games now since he got back from injury where he has gotten at least 3 shots on goal. This is a Pittsburgh team that does surrender quite a few shots against centermen. We'll go total over first period here, over 1.5 goals here, guys. I know that we have seen this Senators team have some inconsistent goaltending, and Allmark is back. But between these two teams, I can look at fireworks right from the get-go. And Tommy Novak right now is on a line with Malkin. They're playing together. And really, I will say, they have developed instant chemistry. Like, whenever they've played together, they've done really well. And I think if one guy gets a point, so does the other guy. Plus 550 for a Monday night NHL winner, guys. Plus 550. Let me know if you're tailing. I really do like this one. Spend some time crafting this one up. And I'll tell you what, you can bet on Tommy Novak individual as a single bet. You can bet on total first period over 1.5 goals as an individual. And if you want just 2 out of these 4, I would take a look at Malkin and the Brady Tkachuk shots on goals. So let's make some money here, guys. And quick promotion for me, Carm, I will just say before I throw it
Andrew?
back to you, is that, yes?
Andrew, how about we give, it's a short week. How about we give the people one more game and we do Detroit and Colorado?
Okay. I was going to do a little bit of promotion after my segment, but
okay. I apologize for jumping in there. I figured your promotion would come at the end. My bad, Andrew, but because we have to talk about this one because I'm doing the timestamps. So they love the timestamps. Dude, these teams played on Saturday. What happened to Detroit's offense? Let's talk about this game, Andrew. I'm going to go to you first on this one, unless you need a little bit of a break. But Colorado, 196 at home. Detroit plus 160. The total sits here at 6.5. This is one of those ones where, Andrew, I would put up that graphic, make me understand the line. And it's not because I think Colorado should be a higher price. I actually think that they should be a lower price than they are right now, probably by about 15 to 20 cents. I thought this was one of those ones that should fall in the 170 to like 185 range. It just seems a little too high for me in this instance. Gibson didn't look good. He got pulled in that game. They brought in Cam Talbot, I believe, in the third period. 5-0. You have Tays out, Landeskog out. O'Connor's listed as out, and then I think there's another player. I think it's Netchis, who is listed as questionable for tonight's game. So we'll see whether he misses or not. Returning home off a road trip. What do you do here?
Yeah, it's always interesting when both teams, play each other back-to-back games, and the interesting situation here for Colorado, though, is that it's first game back at home after a road trip. The last one, of course, was the last game of their road trip, but they came into that one pissed off. It was an early start. Speaking of pissed off, I wasn't happy because I didn't play it, but I ended up being one of my free plays from my every game on the board video talking about how Colorado looked so bad against the Montreal Canadiens. They also lost against the Ottawa Senators, so they were very, very motivated. But Carm, it's a unique situation, and you and I get to talk about this all the time, where it's one of those scenarios where why can't a team lose twice? Like, remember when the New York Islanders recently had a back-to-back against the New York Rangers? Why couldn't the New York Islanders beat the Detroit Red Wings twice, or the New York Rangers twice? A lot of times I liked to go back and take whatever team lost the first game, you take them the next time, but I think it's one of those situations where it's like, hey, just because they lost the first game doesn't mean they're going to win the second one all of a sudden. So I'm interested in finding a way to take Colorado in this game. I am. And I've been waiting all season for Detroit's regression, and I, kind of stopped getting myself involved in their games. But now we're starting to see some John Gibson regression. And right now with Ottawa or Colorado's offensive capabilities, the last handful of games, what we've seen here. And Carm, do you see Gibson? Because I think I see Gibson at one spot, and I'm looking at the last 3 games here. Save percentage versus expected save percentage. And John Gibson is near the bottom with minus 3.8%. Goals saved above expected per 60. Once again, he's down there near the bottom. So I think that the Red Wings are giving up all kinds of chances. Would I be able to talk you out of an over in this one, though? Because we did see McKinnon end up going on a huge run. I mean, he cashed his over 1.5 point prop in the first period. I think he ended up with like 3 or 4 points in that game, but it's that typical spot that I love, the first period over, full game over, when a team is off a shutout. Maybe Colorado could still win and they could win both games, but maybe we do end up seeing goals because Detroit will be really, really not happy with getting shut out against a really key team.
Yeah, Andrew, this is one of those ones where there's only 2 games left for Colorado. They play tonight and they play on Wednesday, and then they're done. So we'll see. The whole coasting thing, I don't believe in the whole coasting thing. Maybe the intensity level isn't there. It wasn't the greatest of road trips for them, but they're back at home, and a lot of the times I like to fade a team in their first game back at home. I did it with the Vegas Golden Knights when I took the Dallas Stars at plus money. Do I want to do that here? No, just because Colorado is more of an elite or is an elite team. Maybe it's catching up to Detroit right now. That good run that they had, maybe that's catching up to them. You look at Gibson; he was on a tremendous roll. I think the guy was like 18-2 a run, but he's lost his last 3 starts. He's allowed 9 goals on 61 shots. This almost seems like a team that is crawling to or needs that Olympic break to get here. So some of these guys who aren't playing for Finland and the USA and Canada and Sweden can get a little bit of rest, and they can make that second half push because they're still in a playoff spot here. So maybe that the Olympic break is coming at the right time for the Red Wings. I would say, Andrew, yes to the over because I think that I just don't see how Colorado goes back-to-back against this Detroit Red Wings team, shutting them out. I think Detroit gets something, maybe a couple goals. Maybe they get 3. I still think this is a superior Avs team, and they eventually get the win. Would I be surprised if this game finishes 4-3 or 5-3 for Colorado? No, I wouldn't. This is one of those ones where I'd love it at 6. At 6.5, it's just going to be a play for me, and likely just a pizza slice play for me, just because I want to see these 2 teams and how they play. Anyone who's an older school guy, Andrew, remembers the battles that Colorado and the Detroit Red Wings used to have back in the day, and when they were competing for Stanley Cups and stuff. It was absolutely phenomenal. So we shall see. Are the Avs going to go to the Nordique jerseys tonight against Detroit? Who knows? I love those, bringing back the nostalgia of bringing back those Nordiques jerseys. I'm going to go with the over here. If that's what you're liking, that's what I'm liking as well.
Let's get some goals. Let's get some goals in this one. First period, full game. Maybe this could have been a good one for me to find out the props, but to what you mentioned, maybe I got to look at the lineup first to make sure I figure out who's healthy and who's not. Yeah, it seems like everybody's talking about this run here. Colorado, 15 straight against the Red Wings. Not really a streak that I want to get in front of either, that's for sure. So let's get some more goalie fights. Let's get some more goalie fights.
Yes.
Sheshir, he says, I believe the Avs win the cup. I think it's the retribution year. One thing I'm going to say really quick, Carmine, I know we got to wrap it up, is that you know how people will say, if this price was plus 800 earlier in the year and it's plus whatever now, well, I missed the boat. Well, the only thing you're missing the boat on is if you bet something now and it gets continually, lower, then you're still getting a good number. And I'll tell you what, guys, the Avalanche are going to be active at the trade deadline. The Avalanche are going to make something happen. So I understand you look right now at the future board and you can see the Avalanche as heavy favorites, especially, looking around right now, plus 325, 350, 300. If you want to get a piece of them, you can do that. But also you're going to be able to look at Conn Smythe trophy winners and all that good stuff as well and different future odds. But I'm telling you guys, there's going to be, or you can try and figure out who they're going to face in the Western Conference Finals and then get a good hedge out against them. But this is going to be a team that's going to make moves at the trade deadline for sure.
Yeah. Another team who's going to make a move, Andrew, moves at the trade deadline. the Nashville Predators. I believe in a little over an hour, maybe. The Nashville Predators are holding a press conference. Barry Trotz is stepping down as GM. He's going to stay there till they get a replacement, but he could be a perfect fit for the rebuilding Toronto Maple Leafs, Andrew. Get rid of Trevelyan, who does absolutely nothing and has made this team pedestrian-like, and bring him in. Tank the rest of the season. I say tank, but you know what I mean by tank. Finish bottom 5, protect your first round draft pick, the Leafs, and then sell off some pieces like OEL, get a first round pick, sell off McMahon, get a first round pick, and rebuild that team. Somebody's going to pick up Stamkos if Nashville picks up a majority of that contract. Stamkos is leaving Nashville and will end up somewhere. Can you imagine him in I was going to say a Buffalo Sabres jersey, but a Montreal Canadiens jersey on that power play, Stamkos with Caulfield and Suzuki?
Be pretty sweet.
Oh, man.
I think what's going to happen.
You wouldn't sleep for a week if that trade happened.
Man. I would be pumped. The only thing is, though, is that people, because there are so few sellers this year, because so many teams are playing well, the ask is so high. The ask is so high for some of these players. Like Nazem Kadri, what the hell do the Calgary Flames want for him? And I know one thing, like I obviously read the most about the Montreal Canadiens, is they're not willing to mortgage their future, Carm, to trade for one player. So I think the closer and closer we get to the trade deadline, they're going to have to like probably lessen their ask, because Steven Stamkos, Ryan O'Reilly, Nazem Kadri, whoever it might be, even Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues. Like some of these teams that are trying to tank, maybe they're asking for the world from other teams. And some other teams are just saying, you guys are crazy. We're not giving you all that. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. But get your futures in, guys, before the trade deadline, because certain teams are going to make their moves. And you know one team that always makes a move that's currently plus 750? Well, that's the Vegas Golden Knights. They always make a move. All right, Carm, I just got to say, when you got something coming up here in a second, you can close it out. A lot of you guys have joined me already on the Olympic package. It's going to be fantastic. Men's Olympic tournament. I cannot wait for it. You guys can get every single pick that I release for the entire Olympics for $59. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit shocked when I presented this to the head office and this was the price that they gave me. But I was like, you know what? Let's roll with it. Let's get a ton of people on this package. You guys know I follow international hockey. You guys know that I did well last year with the Four Nations tournament, and that was only 4 teams. I'm covering this tournament for thehockeynews.com. We'll be dialed in, talking to reporters every day. I'm ready to rock. So go to my page, wt.buzz/am, sides, totals, team totals, and the occasional player props as well. You can get that for just $59. 2 weeks of all my plays. Guys, one regular play is $25. 5% play is $35. I'm going to give you 2 weeks of all of my Olympic plays for $59. I'm going to have singular plays posted at WagerTalk, but the singular plays are going to be nearly half of what the entire package costs for the full tournament. So you guys know what to do. Get that full package. Let's make some money during the Olympics, and I cannot wait for it.
Andrew, I absolutely love it. You guys should be taking advantage of this one, Andrew. I'm going to be dabbling a little bit in the Olympics, but Andrew will be going full bore in the Olympics, so it's worth it to pick that one up. Andrew, I will say, I'm going to pause after Thursday. I'm going to pause the regular NHL pod play, but I will still have you guys covered because I'm going to do this. The Olympic pod. Yes, ChatGPT is my friend. Man, why does it make me look like I'm kind of happy, but also really pissed in that picture? I don't get it. But I will start with a $1,000 bankroll for the Olympics. I will talk to Andrew throughout the Olympics and getting some of his feedback on games and stuff, and see if I can come up with some Olympic pod plays along the way. But with that said, two NHL plays up for me tonight. 2 soccer plays up for me as well too. Swept the weekend in soccer, 3-0 on Saturday, 2-0 on Sunday. went well. NHL, what do we go in NHL? Won both games yesterday. 1-2 on, including a 5% winner on, 3-0 on Saturday, and then 1-0, I think, or 1-1 on Friday. So with that said, NHL is going well. And the final promo I have for you guys, I got to throw in these promos, so you'll have to excuse me. But the cup to cup special, some of you guys have taken advantage of this one. The rest of the NHL season and the whole entire World Cup tournament, which is going to be a ton of games all summer long. Well, not all summer long, for the 5 or 6 weeks that it's going on here in North America. That's all you're going to see on TV. You might as well bet on it, and bet on it with me, of course. So let's cup to cup special. Pick that up, get the rest of the NHL season through the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then the World Cup starts 2 days later. So with that said, that's it for me. Andrew, anything to add before we close this thing out?
I just got to say, you kind of look like Mark Messier in that picture for the Olympic play of the day.
Dude, that stick looks terrible. It looks like those bandy sticks or whatever it is. That stick looks terrible. I think I have the old wooden Coho stick in my hand there. Who knows?
Yeah, the old school. And that will do it for the show, guys. Let's make some money. It's a Monday slate, but it's a busier slate. I've got 2 plays up in NHL, WT.buzz/AM. Carmine's in action. We're going to try and keep it going, and you guys get ready, because post-Olympic break, we're going to come in hot, but I'm going to try and build the bankroll, and I'm going to try and get you guys a deal as well, where it's the rest of my NHL season plus all of the Olympics for free. So we'll see if we can get you a good deal for that as well, because my goal is to build up that bankroll during the Olympics. And as I mentioned, I cannot believe the deal is $59 for a full tournament. We're going to have a ton of plays, and I can't wait for it. First game, as far as the hockey is concerned, Carm, end of this week, the Team Canada women's team is in action. So can't wait to watch that, and we'll be supporting. So that will do it for the show, guys. Carm and I don't like to ask, but it's part of the job. Hit the like button. It really does help us out. And don't tell anybody, but we need to get more likes than WagerTalk today. It's kind of a little mini competition here. So help us out, boost us up a little bit, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Puck Time.